The next day, Natalia and Fraser walked into the sales department at the Philly Group, only to find that Mose was already waiting for them. When he saw Natalia, he didn't hide the burning passion in his eyes. "Tonight, this sexy beauty in front of me will be mine," he thought. "It's crazy to think that such a beautiful woman is with that good-for-nothing loser." As he thought about it, a spicy scene of him and Natalia making love together appeared in his mind, making his whole body feel hot. Natalia glanced at Mose but didn't speak to him. Instead, she thought about the day ahead. Although she didn't believe that Fraser could really sell 100 properties, for some unknown reason she felt a tiny bit of anticipation in her heart. "Perhaps Fraser really can create miracles," she thought. "Oh, who am I kidding? Why would I believe in someone as useless as him?" However, she glanced at her watch from time to time. As long as it was before 9 o'clock, she wouldn't completely give in. "Hey, Fraser, come here," Mose commanded. Fraser glanced at him but didn't move. Seeing that Fraser wasn't going to move, Peter looked angrily at him and was about to drag him over. Watching Peter's aggression grow, Mose waved his hand and walked over to Fraser instead. "Fraser, did I hear someone say that you were sleeping on the floor at home?" Mose asked. "Don't worry. If your wife is good enough in bed tonight, you'll get a lifetime salary here for nothing," he laughed. Fraser's face darkened, and he clenched both of his fists tightly, making a cracking sound. He looked at Moses' sneering face and had the urge to hit him. At that moment, someone announced, "It's 10 minutes to 9. There isn't much time left. Forget about 100 properties. If he can sell 10 of them, I'll be amazed." Many of the salespeople started to heckle Natalia, and her face turned pale. Just as she was about to give up, a middle-aged man with a large belly hurriedly walked in, followed by 4 bodyguards. "I want to buy 100 properties, now," he said. All the employees looked at the middle-aged man in shock. No one answered him because they all felt that they had misheard. Although he looked like a rich person, judging by his clothes, they thought he wouldn't be able to buy 100 properties in one go, no matter how rich he was. There was a lot of real estate. Henry looked impatient as he said, "Didn't anyone hear what I just said? I want to buy 100 properties, right away. I have to get everything done by 9 o'clock. He looked around and saw that Fraser was there. When he saw that he was dressed as a salesperson, he was shocked. When did someone so great start selling real estate? He wondered. Fraser, who didn't want to reveal his identity at that time, walked over to Henry, smiled, and secretly gave him a wink. "Mr. Wilson, you're finally here," said Fraser. "I've been waiting for you." "Mr. Macklemore really likes to play the role," thought Henry. "Yesterday he was a cook, and now he's a salesperson." However, he quickly realized that he would have to cooperate with him and pretend that Fraser was his subordinate. Yes, I was a bit late because I was stuck in a traffic jam on the way here." Everyone was shocked when they heard Henry and Fraser talking to each other in that way. Natalia also stared blankly at Fraser's back. She had recognized Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson is an important figure in San Clemente, and he's dealing with a nobody like Fraser, she thought. He said he had to complete the purchase before 9 o'clock. Surely that can't be a coincidence. A voice in her heart told her that Fraser might really have found Henry, and she wondered what trick Fraser had used to get him there. Mose felt something was wrong, and he signaled Peter with his eyes. Peter smiled as he walked toward Henry. "Mr. Wilson," he said, "I'm so sorry that we haven't welcomed you properly. Is it true that you want to purchase 100 properties from us?" "Yes, it is," Henry replied. "You do have the properties available, don't you?" Peter nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes, absolutely. You can buy them anytime you want. Right now, there are still more than 200 properties available." Henry waved his hand impatiently and said, "Any 100 of them is fine. There are still 8 minutes until 9, so we'll do it immediately." Okay, Peter said hesitantly, then pushed Fraser away. "Get lost," he hissed. "You're not capable of serving Mr. Wilson. Do you know how important he is? Why don't you just go and make him a coffee and leave this one to the big boys?" Henry glared at Peter and shouted, "Who do you think you are? How dare you treat him like that?" Peter was shocked that he had angered Mr. Wilson. Henry waved his hand and called out, "Is there anyone in charge here? Who is this little jerk's superior?" Everyone looked toward Mose. Mose was also dumbfounded that Fraser and Henry seemed to know each other. He couldn't believe it, even though the truth was right in front of him. He walked over stiffly. When he was face to face with Henry, whom even his father had to fawn over, he gave a forced smile and said, "Hello, Mr. Wilson. My name is Mose Ferlin, and I'm an executive here at the Philly Group. I'm in charge. May I ask—" "Cut the crap and get someone to help me," Henry interrupted. "I brought the money, so let's get the transaction moving." He glanced disdainfully at Peter and said, "And I don't want to see this man again." Peter's face turned pale as he looked at Mose. "Yes, sir. Understood," Mose said quickly. He waved to Peter while instructing all the employees to go through the procedures for Henry. "Let's go. You won't be working here anymore because you're fired," Mose said coldly. "No, please no," shouted Peter. He begged Mose to allow him to stay. He had always been loyal to Mose, so he couldn't accept that he was being told to leave. "Mr. Ferlin, I'm your man. You can't really want to let me go, can you? Please reconsider. I thought we were friends," he pleaded. Mose looked Peter in the eye and said, "I like you, Peter, but I'm a businessman, and business is what counts. Compared to selling 100 properties, you're nothing. Besides, do you think I'll offend Mr. Wilson to save you? You were wrong to upset him, and now you have to pay the price." Peter was about to say something more in his defense, but Henry had already gestured to one of his bodyguards. The bodyguard nodded, grabbed Peter's arm, and dragged him out of the office. A series of screams could be heard from outside, causing many of the employees to gasp. The time was 8:59. Under the joint efforts of the staff of the sales department, the procedures for the sale of 100 properties were all completed. Henry called for his subordinates to put the contracts away without even looking at them. He then looked at Mose with a straight face and asked, "Do you know under whose name these sales should be credited?" Mose nodded reluctantly. He knew what Henry wanted and wasn't prepared to go against him. Even though he was extremely unwilling, he still smiled at Fraser and said, "I know. The sales will be credited to Fraser." When Fraser saw Mose's sullen expression, he was pleased. "Mose, my wife doesn't need to wear sexy lingerie when she eats with you tonight, right?" Mose's face turned red as he heard the sniggering around him.
To watch the full episode, install the Pocket FM app